What's new from Apple? There's the new iPhone 16 Pro, built for Apple Intelligence. And it comes with the all-new camera control, giving you an easier way to quickly access your camera tools. The new Apple Watch Series 10 has our biggest display and our thinnest design ever. And this? It's the sound of active noise cancellation, now available on one of 2 new AirPods 4 models. So quiet. Check out all of the new products and new features at apple.com. You can even buy yourself something new. See apple.com for product availability updates. Apple Intelligence coming this fall.
Hear that? Yeah, that's the sound of you relaxing, because now you're managing diabetes with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. You get to know your glucose levels and where it's headed. Manage your diabetes with more confidence with the Freestyle Libre 3 system. Ready to learn more about the #1 prescribed CGM in the U.S.? Visit freestylelibre.us to learn more. Based on retail sales data for patients' last full prescription by manufacturer. Refer to the FLAIR NL4 study published in BMJ Open Diabetes Research and Care 2019. Safety info found at freestylelibre.us.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Mucous membrane, bro.
I don't care. My jokes don't go over. I don't care. Everybody!
If you just read the bio for Dr. Steve, host of Weird Medicine on Sirius XM 103 and made popular by 2 really comedy shows, Opie and Anthony and Ron and Fez, you would have thought that this guy was a bit of, a clown.
Why can't you give me the respect that I'm entitled to?
I've got diphtheria crushing my esophagus. I've got Ebola vibes dripping from my nose. I've got the leprosy of the heart valves, exacerbating my incredible woes. I want to take my brain out and blast it with the wave, an ultrasonic, echographic, and a pulsating shave. I want a magic pill for all my ailments, the health equivalent of Citizen Kane. And if I don't get it now in a tablet, I think I'm doomed and I'll have to go insane. I want a requiem for my disease, so I'm paging Dr. Steve. Dr. Steve!
From the world-famous Cardiff Electric Network studios in beautiful downtown Bedabbler City, it's Weird Medicine, the first and still only uncensored medical show in the history of broadcast radio, now a podcast. I'm Dr. Steve with my little pal, Dr. Scott, the traditional Chinese medicine provider, gives me street cred, the wacko alternative medicine assholes. Hello, Dr. Scott.
Hey, Dr. Steve.
And Tacie, my partner in all things. Hello, Tacie.
Hello.
This is a show for people who have never listened to a medical show on the radio or the internet. If you've got a question you're embarrassed to take to your regular medical provider if you can't find an answer anywhere else, give us a call, 347-766-4323. That's 347-POO-HEAD. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine or DrScottWM. Visit our website at drsteve.com for podcast, medical news, and stuff you can buy. Our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@weirdmedicine. Most importantly, we are not your medical providers. Take everything you hear with a grain of salt. Don't act on anything you hear on this show without talking it over with your healthcare provider. Check out stuff.drsteve.com. That's stuff.drsteve.com. And before we go any further, I need to pay Dr. Scott. So let's do that now.
And though you will try to always get it right, the beauty of life lives inside of you. And I hope someday you find it too.
You've heard all the ads and seen the shops for CBD, and maybe you've wondered, what's the hype? Cannabidiol is known for its ability to provide non-habit-forming relaxation, and now you can have it in a convenient nasal spray. You can take it anywhere. Just go to simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. And check out Dr. Scott's Buffered Saline CBD nasal spray. Just a couple of toots, and you'll see why he's America's top CBD nasal spray. While you're there, check out his line of supplements from fatigue reprieve to stress less. Dr. Scott has it all. That's simplyherbals.net. simplyherbals.net. And don't forget stuff.drsteve.com. That's stuff.drsteve.com for all your Amazon shopping needs. And roadie.drsteve.com is ROADIE. If you play a stringed instrument, you got to have the Roadie robotic tuner. That thing's amazing. And what's up? Brian May said, these bloody bastards came out with this at the end of my career. He was amazed by it. And patreon.com/Weird Medicine. We're doing live streams. Tacie and I are going to start maybe, we've got an exam room that we need to do with a celebrity guest.
Oh.
And also cameo.com/Weird Medicine. I will say fluid to your mama for very little amount of money. And all of that money goes to a very good cause, to me and my ham radio account. I have a ham radio account in a different bank where I can't touch it until my buddy Dale and I decide what we're going to buy for our next ham radio project, which still is moon bounce. It's too damn cold to get out there and shoot signals to the moon if we don't have a real good odds of hearing them back again. So we're going to wait till it warms up a little bit. Anyway, all right. Anything else?
Nope. I think that's it.
All right. Very good. Don't forget to check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. That's simplyherbals.net. I'm down a bottle of CBD nasal spray, Dr. Scott, because we had a friend over yesterday who probably doesn't want to be named, who's having some anxiety and panic and stuff. And she was like, "Do y'all have any gummies?" It's like, no, I don't have gummies. But I do have CBD nasal spray. So I gave her a bottle of it.
Thank you.
She at first said it didn't do anything, but then she was totally fine.
Good.
So I think it helped quite a bit.
It's brought it down a couple levels.
Yeah. I tried to get her to do the Trip app, and she wouldn't do it.
When she had too much anxiety to do the Trip app.
Yeah. Yeah, she just doesn't like putting stuff over her face. That is a problem with that.
Yeah.
If you have issues with putting, what we're talking about for people who don't know, it's a virtual reality app that is a everyday changing virtual meditation and mindfulness environment, and it is the coolest friggin' thing. It is it's unbelievable how cool it is.
It is, and it's so incredibly accurate. Like the one where I was walking a plank off the side of a building.
No, that's not what I'm talking about. See, that's what she said.
Oh, shit.
She said, I don't want to be walking out on a 2x4 on a building. That's Richie's plank experience.
Oh, the trip. Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about
the meditation one. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And you've got Nanea Reeves or her AI equivalent reading a sort of a lesson for the day on how to be more mindful in your daily practice. And you can turn all that stuff off, or you could do the whole thing, and then it has breathing.
Helps you breathe,
and you're concentrating on your breathing, and it's got blue sparks going in and rust-colored sparks coming out when you breathe, and there's all these beautiful virtual environments.
Yes.
And then you do the first lesson, which is like 3 minutes, and then you rise up in the air to the second one, and then the third one you're floating in space, and we're all one and all that stuff. It's amazing how much if your anxiety could start at 10 and end up at about a 4.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, it's exactly the opposite of the walking out on a plank.
Yes, right.
Sorry about that, guys.
Yeah, you can do that first and then do Trip to calm down.
Yes, don't listen to me.
But if you have a virtual reality console, particularly a Meta Quest, check out Trip, TRIPP. It's in the App Store. You can go to tripp.com, or you can there is an app for your phone too. But anyway, don't forget to check out Dr. Scott's website at simplyherbals.net. All right, very good. We had a couple of people send me text messages through the voicemail line, and you could do that. I prefer to have you call in. But this person said, I got some nitrile gloves from Harbor Freight, and they hurt my hands. A week later, any idea what I could use to make it better? Well, nitrile gloves are supposed to be the ones that are hypoallergenic, and they suck. Latex was awesome. And all of a sudden, we had a few people with latex allergy. It turned out that in some people it was serious.
Yeah.
You're doing surgery on somebody with a latex allergy with latex gloves, and they're having anaphylaxis, and you don't know it and all that stuff. But I wish we had a test. so that for the vast majority of people who don't have a latex allergy, we could use latex gloves.
Right.
They're 1,000,000 times better, and you cannot take these nitrile gloves and put them over your head and blow them up like Howie Mandel used to do, I used to do.
Yeah, they just tear.
For all that, right? Well, they don't. They're awful.
Yeah.
You can't feel what you could with latex, and they're not as form-fitting. And they're relatively inelastic. They basically suck. Well, the positive was that people aren't allergic to nitrile. And but this guy says, I got nitrile gloves from Harbor Freight. Of course, that great medical supply company, Harbor Freight, they hurt my hands and are still hurting. Huh. So I asked him, is he allergic to latex? And he didn't really understand the question, but I said he was on the bottom of his hands, not the back of the palm. And I said, nitrile's not latex. I was going to say, if you don't have a latex allergy, they're much better if you can get them. Then he said, they say nitrile on the box, so that's good. So I wondered if the brandy had some kind of powder on it or something else, that he was working with affected his skin. Mm-hmm. He said it started right after I used them. It's like almost like a burn. And so I told him get a bigger size because the small size could be causing some problems with his skin, and use some hydrocortisone and lanolin because those are over the counter. I can make that kind of advice. Mm-hmm. And, OTC stuff because anybody could recommend that to you. And I said, if you don't get better, see your PCP. He said, I'm not using them again. And then he wrote me back and said, the hydrochloric acid cream really helped. It was like, whoa, that's not what I said. It was just a typo. He said he's going to give the nitrile gloves away to somebody he doesn't like. And but he said it was like a miracle. So, yeah. And then his final thing was, I'm going to give those gloves to a serial killer to use so his hands will hurt and he can't murder people anymore because so many serial killers use nitrile gloves.
Yes. Cover their tracks. Yeah, but depending on the source of the gloves.
If you know a serial killer, just turn them in.
Yeah.
Don't just give them gloves.
Don't sabotage them.
Right. So they'll have a minor annoyance the next time they kill somebody.
Just make them mad when they're killing somebody. Oh, God, that's funny. Yeah, but in some of the sources, like you said, Dr. Steve, some of the sources, the gloves may not be exactly the nitrile that they're saying they are. Well, depending on the source that's making those gloves.
Yeah,
right. We had that during COVID. Getting some of those hand sanitizers from certain places. Some were better than others, and some
correct. There were some distilleries that just repurposed themselves to make hand sanitizer. Yep. It was kind of cool. Yep. I like that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that is good.
But, we don't know where these gloves came from or what was on them or what was in them or anything. So, you can put anything on a box. I'm not saying Harbor Freight is knowingly doing anything. And it doesn't have anything to do with Harbor Freight. He just mentioned it. Mm-hmm. It has everything to do with things being imported into this country. And sometimes, every once in a while, the FDA goes and looks at there was a case not too long ago of cock pills that were being sold in natural food stores and stuff in natural pharmacies that said for good for erections or whatever. Mm-hmm. And when the FDA, they'll randomly pull some stuff off and run it through the GC mass spec. That stuff actually worked. You know why? Because it had Viagra.
Viagra,
yes. And you can't do that.
No.
You can't just put Viagra in your natural supplement and then sell it because that has to be sold by prescription because there are some real legit. What if someone, and this is why the FDA has some benefit in this country for sure, is what if the FDA had, or what if someone had been on nitroglycerin, and their doctor told them they couldn't give them sildenafil, the active ingredient Viagra, because it would lower their blood pressure to the point where they would be at increased risk of having myocardial infarction, which is true. And so this person goes to their favorite, whole food pharmacy, or they spell it F-A-R-M. Oh, come on. But anyway, they go there and they see these dick pills and they try them, but they have sildenafil in them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're still taking their nitroglycerin. So that's why people crap on the FDA all the time. Listen, they have their faults, but they kept they kept thalidomide out of this country back when thalidomide was a thing. And any American kids that were born with birth defects from thalidomide was from thalidomide that was smuggled into the country.
Wow.
And that was because of the FDA. And then they catch stuff like this. So, I'm okay with them being there for sure.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, anyway. All right.
All right.
Let's see. What else we got? Oh, okay. Yeah. And then I had somebody else email me about this thing called biophilia. And I'm not going to talk about the product itself or the brand name, but they asked me, is this BS or not? And what they say, this biophilia thing is a concept that all of our organs have different quote-unquote frequencies, and that you can detect these frequencies with a machine that's hooked up to the brain. And if you have certain parasites or Lyme disease or something like that, that will change frequency, and then they can then. And he sent me this printout that had all these different frequencies, and it says less than 0.425 bad, greater than 2 good. Okay, first off, bad and good are those are value judgments. Normal and abnormal would be preferable, but anyway. So they have dyskinesia of the gallbladder, 0.246. Duodenitis, 0.342. Everything on this guy's was bad that I'm reading here. Giardia, 0.207. Well, that's bad, right? Because it's less than 0.425. Didn't have a single thing that was good. Anyway, it says our specialty is Lyme disease care, cardiovascular support, spelled incorrectly.
Close.
Methyl genetic nutrition, digestion, homotoxicology. Well, we're not biased, in that way on this show. Psychosomatic energetics. Well, okay, psychosomatic, I'll believe that. Temperamental character assessment. Uh-oh, I need it. And
it's part of your psychosomatic
and intrinsic
disorder.
data field assessment. Do you know what that is?
Read it again. Intrinsic data field assessment.
Data field assessment. What's the intrinsic data field?
God,
this sounds like bioenergy stuff to me.
Yeah.
The main modality used are electrodermal screening,
okay,
aka Vega test.
Okay.
An approved biofeedback FDA machine. Is that true?
Maybe. Yeah, I might be able to help you with that a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's look that up.
Okay.
I want to see what the FDA actually approved, because you could get some stuff approved that, your CBD nasal spray is not exactly FDA approved, but it's approved by some certifying body, right? And what is the certifying body?
Well, the state. They qualify the...
No, but there's some agency that has to look at it and say this is a qualified organic or something like that.
Well, yeah.
Or qualified nutraceutical. You told me about this once before.
Yeah, especially like for the stress less and the fatigue reprieve. There's a whole bunch of governing bodies, and you have to be... It's tested from everywhere from the growers to the manufacturers to the ship to the.
But you have to put a
producers.
stamp on yours, or you do put it to enhance your saleability, right?
That's correct.
So what's the stamp?
Yeah. Well, the stamp is good. There's a good food G. Let me look it up.
Okay,
I can't.
God, you don't even know.
No, I don't know. I'm sorry.
I'm
It's been so
looking
long.
up
I'm sorry.
what is IDF technology, and it's really boring. And it says it has its roots in the fields of psionics, electronics plus radionics, which are fields of study that were developed in the 20th century, designed to interface intent with
in the 20th
electronic
century
technology. These subtle energy fields contain intrinsic information necessary to create the blueprint for the organization of matter. And then it goes on and on like that forever.
In the year 2000. Developed in the 20th century. Come on.
Oh, my gosh.
Okay, psionics. Do you want to know what the definition of psionics is?
Let's hear it.
The practice of extraordinary psychic powers. Come on.
Hey, that's right. That's in my lane. I have extraordinary psychic powers.
Okay.
They're extraordinary.
Characters who have psionic powers are psionicists or wild talents. So, listen, I want to believe in this stuff. I do. I've just got to see it actually demonstrated that it works. So how do you do that? I can tell you right now how you can do a simple study to see if these machines can detect. Let's just pick out one. You have to define your endpoint. Lyme disease.
Okay.
You get 50 people with known Lyme disease and 50 who don't have Lyme disease, right?
Yes.
And you test them using our methods.
Right.
Now you run them through this thing. And if they can pick out the ones, statistically significant difference between the pro and con that correlates with positive tests using the gold standard, I'll believe it. Now, what they're going to say is, oh, no, but we can detect ones that modern science can't detect. Prove that.
Yeah.
Prove it or go F yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, and a lot of this came from early Germany, where they with the rife, the royal rife studies on frequencies.
Yes,
and a lot of that's where these transdermal things came from.
Now you have some experience.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, and measuring the electrical conductivity of different things. So what Dr. Rife did back in Germany was studied the resistance of tumors, resistance of skin, resistance of healthy bone versus diseased bones with frequencies, and then he developed he developed this machine, the Royal Rife frequency machine, to stimulate these things. If it's a pathogen, if it's a bacteria or virus or a worm, that you could shoot a frequency into this pathogen and light.
What kind of frequency? Audio, radio, what?
Electrical.
Okay.
Sending electrical frequencies through something.
Okay, so it's electromagnetic.
Electromagnetic. So what they're doing now, fast forward to today, the NIH actually uses this for research on glioblastomas. They use it. They're studying this type of radio frequency on electrical frequencies on glioblastomas.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, MRI works by looking at the frequency of electron flipping, based on what those electrons are attached to. And that can include tumors and stuff.
Right.
So you can see blood, you can see tumors, depending on the way that you tweak the microwaves that are going in.
Okay.
So I don't know if people are familiar. I'll give you the real quick how an MRI works. You put somebody in a strong magnetic field, and what that does is it takes the magnetic dipoles of the hydrogen ions and their associated electrons, and they start precessing.
Okay.
And now when you put in microwaves at certain frequencies, as those things absorb those photons, they'll go into a higher a higher energy state. Well, that's not stable.
Okay.
So eventually when that frequency passes, as you're sweeping these frequencies, those things will flip back, releasing a photon at a specific energy level. And then there's detectors to detect all that. And then you use a computer system to reconstruct an image from that. But what's cool is, like, if you have a T2 flare, then you and that's just basically a configuration of the microwave energy that's being sent. Fuck off. When you do that, it will show changes in, say, blood flow in the brain,
right.
Stuff like that.
Right.
So, yes, I agree that certain things have resonances, but what I'm concerned about is people just learn that and they go, oh, well, there's resonances. We can use frequencies, and they start throwing out this pseudoscientific bullshit.
Right. No, true, very true. Yeah.
So I would be very interested to know if there is a resonant frequency, say, for hepatitis B virus, that you can then somehow detect, not in an MRI,
but with a skin test, but with an electro. Well, that's what they're talking about.
I know.
Is it skin dermal testing? They're holding a probe.
That's what I'm questioning.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll do some research because I've got some experience with that.
Well, you had anecdotal experience, so I'm okay with you telling the story because, listen, I do have an open mind, but I have an open mind in the sense that I agree that I don't know everything. As a matter of fact, I don't know the vast majority of what's going on in this universe. So there are things that sound stupid, like bacteria causing ulcers, which we thought was insane. And then, H. pylori was discovered, and the guy had to really push it before people accepted it. And now it's accepted part of medical science. So, but that sounded crazy.
Well, we had a president. One of the early presidents died because his physician did not believe that if you couldn't see a bug,
that it existed.
That it didn't exist, so he wouldn't treat him with a bacterial infection. He wound up dying.
Yeah,
I'll look that up. But anyway, real quick, we had a very dear friend of mine had a nasty cancer that was considered not treatable, and they gave him about 6 months to live. And we found a naturopathic doctor out in Texas.
Which, by the way, the only crystal ball we have is statistics.
Yeah.
So when they say stuff like that, that applies to a large population. You're talking about average. It doesn't apply to the individual. Go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what they did, they thought he may have had a bad gallbladder, and they opened him up, and when they saw this cancer was completely all over his abdomen, it was appendiceal mucinous adenocarcinoma.
Okay,
so it has spread from his appendix out through his entire.
Amazing, you're
abdomen.
able to say that correctly.
Sadly, it's practice. Which is the shitty part of it.
Yeah, but sorry,
but the bottom line is it's considered to be a very aggressive and poorly, with a really poor outcome. So we started looking at other things, and we found a naturopathic doctor out in Texas that did this dermal testing, and he had an electrode that he would touch to your skin, and it would run into a computer, and it would give you resistance from the electrode, and it would be processed just like an MRI. Kind of configures these readings and prints out something that we can interpret. Right. And that's kind of what this machine did. It was really it was pretty cool.
Okay, so you got that. So
So what happened was he gave us a bunch of different formulas to take, which he did.
Sell them to you.
Oh yeah, Lord, yeah. This shit's not free. Right. Well, the shit you do is not free either.
No, I know. I don't make any money off of the drugs that I prescribe. But anyway, go ahead.
You don't. But anyway,
I don't make any money off the.
No, you don't.
The tests
you don't. No, you don't.
Right.
No, I know.
Well,
you
but
don't.
this person did.
Well, yeah,
he sold it to you.
Yeah, I make money off the shit I make too.
Okay, I'm just asking.
I don't make any money.
Do you make money if you sell kisses, Tacie? She probably makes a lot of it.
Would
25 cents a kiss. Anyway, so what we did, we bought and he did these herbs, and he did this rife frequency machine on the tumor.
Yeah,
and when he wound up having about 3 years later having to have surgery for an obstructed colon, the surgeon goes in and when he was looking at, and he's one of the very few doctors in the entire United States that does a specific surgery.
Yeah.
He said he'd never seen that cancer melt away.
Yeah.
Because normally what it does is when it wraps around organs, it's like the roots of a tree that kind of dig down into the ground, but it digs into your liver and digs into your colon. That's why.
Looking for blood supply.
Right, and that's why it's so challenging to treat, because you can't just go in there and take it out. Because when you start pulling it out, it pulls everything else out with it.
Right.
And he did. He lived a little over 3 years, and most of it was a pretty good life.
Yeah.
But I'm not. But Dr. Steve,
it's a good anecdote.
Yeah. But I'm gonna tell you, we followed every Western medicine. We followed every Western medicine.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it.
This wasn't in lieu of Western medicine.
And I'm not saying that didn't help him.
Yeah.
What I'm saying is you can't then turn around and generalize that it's going to help somebody else.
No.
And if they have this scary, amazing thing, where are the double-blind, placebo-controlled studies? Either there's one of two things. Either they don't want to do it because they know that if it really works, we'll start using it, and that'll put them out of business. Yeah. But then that means that they're more interested in themselves than they are in wider adoption of this if it's so scary great. Or number two, they're pretty sure it doesn't really work. Yeah. It's one of the two. Either one of those answers is not a good look for them.
No.
So, but anyway.
Well, the other one is just into, and we've talked about this 1,000 times, but just getting anything tested through the FDA, it takes hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Well,
it's
you're talking about curing millions of people of cancer. That's worth a few bucks.
Yeah.
to
Certainly would
put
make a
into
little bit of that. That is true.
So but I'm glad that your friend lived way longer than they thought he was going to.
Yeah, and please understand, I'm not.
There's no way
cure,
that I could tell his family, and I wouldn't even want to.
Yeah.
A lot of this has to do with belief and stuff too.
Sure.
But to tell them, he was probably going to do that anyway, because it's just like the person with influenza who gets influenza the day after they get the flu shot. You'll never convince them that the flu shot didn't give it to them. And in that case, I would want to try to disabuse them of that. But in this case, there's no point in it. It doesn't serve any purpose. Right. But I'm glad he did well.
Thank you.
Yeah. Anyway, let's look into that. Let's see if there are any studies. And, I'm willing to be convinced.
Heck yeah. Anything new, as long as it's research.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
They tease it out.
Yep. They've got some really fancy looking websites.
Yes, they do.
Really fancy looking websites.
Yes,
but when you and I first looked at, what was that, Stivax or whatever that thing, was that what it was, Stivax?
Yep.
And the reason that the federal government wouldn't pay for it is because it's sold as what's called auricular acupuncture. So what it is it's a device that stimulates the earlobe, and it sounds like horse shit.
Right. Yeah.
And they sell it for chronic pain and claudication, which is pain caused by bad circulation in the legs when you walk. And I've just been reading all kinds of studies that auricular acupuncture has been demonstrated time and time again to have to be effective for certain pain syndromes.
Yeah, especially post-operative pain.
Yeah, and it was for post-op pain.
Yeah.
And the hypothesis is that the vagus nerve has a branch that goes to it isn't really the earlobe, but it's the outer part of the ear. And it has a branch that is accessible there, and so that you can stimulate the vagus nerve from outside the body like that. And we did a few of them and then never could get paid for them. That was a problem.
Yeah.
And so we quit doing the proprietary one, but that is something, just auricular acupuncture, that you can do.
I sure do.
And so things that sound like horse shit sometimes are not horse shit.
Yeah, and sometimes they are.
I did a whole live stream, which will go public in about 3 or 4 days, just where people were calling in again, talking about the I word and whether whether there was it was complete horse cocky or not, or horse paste, don't you know? Anyway, all right. So I'll put that up in a little bit.
Today's episode is brought to you by Angie. Angie has made it easier than ever to connect with skilled professionals to get all your jobs and projects done well. Let me tell you, there's the version of it where you try to do something at home, and then there's a version of it where you have someone help you, you watch them do it the right way, and you go, thank God I didn't try to do that myself. I have fully done things around the home that I think look good, and then a bang in the night, and I wake up to a shelf collapsing, a painting falling off the wall. I've seen it all go south. I own a home, and I can tell you, I know how much work it can take. Whether it's everyday maintenance and repairs or making dream projects a reality, it can be hard just to know where to start. But now all you need to do is Angie that and find a skilled local pro who will deliver the quality and expertise you need. Whatever your home project, big or small, indoor or outdoor, you can Angie that and connect with skilled professionals to get the project done well. Right now, one of my wish lists is I want a bike for my condo in Milwaukee, and I would love to rig it up on a pulley in the ceiling because I have one of those like lofted ceilings. But I'm so scared to try that on my own. Angie has 20 years of home experience, and they've combined it with new tools to simplify the whole process. Bring them your project online or with the Angie app. Answer a few questions and Angie can handle the rest from start to finish, or help you compare quotes from multiple pros and connect instantly, which means you can take care of any home project in just a few taps. Because when it comes to getting the most out of your home, you can do this when you Angie that. Download the free Angie mobile app today or visit Angie.com. That's ANGI.com.
This is what you do when you've just found that statement handbag on eBay and you want to build an entire wardrobe around it. You start selling to keep buying. Yep, on eBay. Over that all-black everything phase? List it and buy all the color. Feeling more vintage than ever? It's out with the new and in with the pre-loved. Next thing you know, you've refreshed your wardrobe basically without spending a dime. Yeah, eBay, the place to buy and sell new, pre-loved, vintage, and rare fashion.
Earning your degree online doesn't mean you have to go about it alone. At Capella University, we're here to support you when you're ready. From enrollment counselors who get to know you and your goals, to academic coaches who can help you form a plan to stay on track. We care about your success and are dedicated to helping you pursue your goals. Going back to school is a big step, but having support at every step of your academic journey can make a big difference. Imagine your future differently at capella.edu.
Introducing our biggest GMC Acadia ever, offering bigger screens, bigger views, and even bigger journeys. Live your biggest life in the all-new GMC Acadia.
Sergeant and Mr. Smith, you're gonna love this house.
Bunk beds in a closet?
There's no field manual for finding the right home. But when you do, USAA Homeowners Insurance can help protect it the right way. Restrictions apply.
Okay, Tacie, you got some topics?
I sure do.
All right, let's do it. Here we go. Oh, well.
It's Tacie's time of topics. A time for Tacie to discuss topics of the day. Not to be confused with Topic Time with Harrison Young, which is copyrighted by Harrison Young and Area 58 Public Access. And now, here's Tacie.
Well, hello, everyone. So today I've got two topics. The first one is from MIT News, and it came from Scott.
Hey.
And it's about how engineers have developed a vibrating ingestible capsule that might help treat obesity.
What?
So what you do
Oh, yeah.
is you swallow this device before a meal, and it can create a sense of fullness, tricking the brain into thinking it's time to stop eating.
And then you shit it out and you have to do another one the next meal?
I guess so.
Just wash it off and pop
But they're
it back
saying
in your
it could be affordable for people. So
how does that work?
Well, when you eat a large meal, your stomach sends signals to your brain, of course, that says, hey, I'm full. And then you stop eating, or you're supposed to. A stomach full of liquid can also send these messages, which is why dieters are often advised to drink a glass of water before eating. But they've come with this new way to take advantage of that phenomenon with this capsule that vibrates. And these vibrations activate the same stretch receptors that sense when the stomach is distended.
This actually sounds right.
Horseshit.
In animals who were given this pill 20 minutes before eating, the researchers found that this treatment not only stimulated the release of hormones that signaled satiety, but also reduced the animal's full intake. I knew what it meant. I just don't know how to say it.
Yeah.
Also reduced the animal's food intake by about 40%. So if you could eat 40% less,
that'd be nice.
I would do this.
I'd do it right now. Yeah.
When can we get them? I'll try it and I'll let everybody know.
Well,
give you anecdotal evidence.
Then they go on to get into the science of it.
If I swallowed one of those like cock rings with the vibrator, it's got the little vibrator in it.
I guess that might work, Steve, but do what you want. But
don't try this at home, kids.
Yeah, no,
that's
bad idea. When the stomach becomes distended, specialized cells called mechanoreceptors sense that stretching and send signals to the brain via the vagus nerve. Hormones such as C-peptide, PYY, and the GLP-1 that we're hearing all about with these GLP-1 medications right now that people are having a hard time getting or are spending $500 a month on through compounded versions. All of these hormones work together to help people digest their food, feel full, and stop eating. And at the same time, levels of GHRELIN, a hunger-promoting hormone,
Ghrelin.
go down.
Yeah.
Are you doing that on purpose?
Yeah, I wanted him.
On fire.
It was because you were talking about the Vegas nerve. I was going to do Viva Las Vegas by Elvis, but it didn't work. So
Yeah,
sorry.
it really didn't. So that's that, and let's see.
Isn't that wild though? That's a great story.
It is a great story.
Yeah.
Las Vegas.
Okay.
So they're talking about how
I
the
got a
behavioral
copyright strike
change
for that. It'd be
in
so stupid.
in animals is absolutely profound.
Say it again.
And the behavioral change in animals is absolutely profound.
Yeah, I'm going
with
to try this. This makes sense. It's non-pharmacologic. If the pill is constructed properly, you just, poop it out. Now, I wonder how long it vibrates. Does it vibrate in your small intestine
It says
too?
it has the potential to overcome some of the challenges and costs associated with delivery of biologic drugs by modulating the enteric nervous system. The current version of the pill is designed to vibrate for about 30 minutes after arriving in the stomach. But the researchers plan to explore the possibility of adapting it to remain in the stomach for longer periods of time, where it could be turned on and off wirelessly as
with an
needed.
app or something.
Here comes another stimulator. I can already see it.
Wait, it's gonna stay in the. I don't like that.
Well, I mean, they're just looking at it.
Okay.
So,
Because look, if you take semaglutide, downsides: nausea, diarrhea, vomiting, constipation, stomach pain, bloat, emesis, heartburn, even runny nose and sore throat.
Cost and
cost.
weight gain when it's over.
Yeah.
And this thing might be the real deal.
Mm-hmm. Kind of interesting, isn't it?
Scott sent this to you?
Yeah.
Yes, he did. He was very
I'm
good.
going to give you both a bell.
Give thyself a bell.
Yes.
And it talks about how GLP-1 agonists aid in weight loss, but most of them have to be injected, and they are unaffordable.
Or you can't get them.
These MIT capsules could be manufactured at a cost that would make them available to people who don't have access to more expensive treatment options.
Well, wait a minute. It does sound like they're reusing them. I don't know about that. You have to dig through your stool, or they either have to be fabulously
I'm
cheap.
sure not. So anyway,
that's a lot of. I mean, it isn't a big deal to. All it is a little motor with an off-axis cam on it, and that causes a regular motor with that cam on the axis will just spin, and there's no vibration or very little vibration. Right. You put the cam off to the side, it'll like a washing machine with.
That you don't want vibrating like that.
Right. That's got something
like
too heavy on one side of it when it's spinning. So that could be done pretty inexpensively. It's still a bit of technology, particularly if you put Bluetooth in that thing.
Yeah.
So I'm voting no Bluetooth.
Keep it simple.
Yeah, just do it temperature when it hits 90,
or pH
6
even.
degrees or pH, then just turn it on.
But so they're planning to explore ways to scale up the manufacturing so that they can do clinical trials in humans.
I wonder if external vibration would do.
I was thinking the same thing.
Could you get one of those vibrators? I got you one, not one of those kind, an actual muscular vibrator, the gun-shaped thing with the ball on the end. I wonder if you put that up to your stomach before you ate and gave it a good go, if that would do anything. It would increase the resonant frequency of the stomach if you drank water, too. If there was something,
it would vibrate the water.
It
would move the water. So if it's empty, it wouldn't be moving anything. I was thinking of that, and I was also thinking just a standard TENS unit, depending on, a lot of this would certainly depend on the amount of, adipose tissue between the skin and the actual stomach organ itself.
Yeah.
That would certainly be an issue. We'll have to come up. I'm thinking, or those little what are those little things you swallow and they start popping in your stomach?
Oh, Pop Rocks.
Pop Rocks, maybe. Maybe that'll work. I'll try those.
So the second story I have.
Well, that's a good one.
Is
I'm looking for external vibrator, and I see nothing at all. We may have just come up with something. I have a Volta, different kind of vibrator that came up.
Okay.
That's a long way to reach to the stomach.
Yeah.
If you go that way.
So
external concrete vibrators. No, thank you.
There you go.
All right, we're going to try it. Well, I know where that thing is. We've never used it for anything. We'll get it out, and before we eat, we'll drink 8 ounces of water and direct the vibration into the stomach under the sternum.
We'll do it too. Do you have is it a massage gun you have?
Yeah, it's a massage gun.
We'll do the same because I've got those too. Yeah. We'll do the same thing.
All right, we'll try different frequencies.
So the second story,
for real.
I know, yeah.
Came from a friend of mine out of Charleston.
Okay.
And
he's been on this show, hasn't he? Monkey Goo.
I don't know if Monkey Goo's ever been on the show.
Okay, well, shout out to Monkey Goo.
Shout out to him. It says, I tried cannabis lube for sex, and now it's my vagina's cure-all moisturizer. So this is something you could think about, Scott.
Well, this is right up my alley, too.
Well, actually, it says if marijuana isn't legal in your state, don't purchase THC-based products unless you have a medical card. So it's not up your alley. So
well, we have a couple of states nearby that do.
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. So these people were in a relationship for 4 years, and of course things weren't as hot and heavy as they were before. So they decided to call this Project Spice, and they experimented with everything, and with matching panties and bras. I didn't read this really, so I guess that's 2 women. So I don't.
Okay.
Maybe.
But
maybe.
The lube
right.
is
maybe not
coconut oil based, infused with tea tree oil and
tea tree oil. Wait a minute.
Tetrahydrocannabinol THC.
Right, tetrahydrocannabinol. Now you got me doing it.
It's the psychoactive component of cannabis.
Tetrahydrocannabinol, right? Oh God, now I'm having a senior moment. There's cannabidiol, which is CBD. And THC is tetrahydrocannabinol. Okay, phew.
Okay. And so
but wait a minute, tea tree oil.
I mean, I don't know. It's just what.
That's the stuff that we have talked about using on people's feet for smelly feet. Mm-hmm. We've talked about using it for 48 weeks to cure toenail fungus, but Vicks Vapor Rub and the prescription stuff, they all work as well, and it's all 48 weeks, so that's a whole nother story. I would not think that tea tree oil would be a good vaginal supplement.
Well, it says right here, tea tree oil is what makes this lube considered a vaginal health supplement.
Really? Okay. Mm-hmm. All right.
The oil's antifungal and antiseptic properties may help prevent urinary tract
It's
and
what
yeast
they used
infection.
They used to use a tea tree oil infuser at the Don Cesar in St. Pete Beach. And when you walked in there, you got this smell that every time you walked in there, all the feelings would come back. Because aromatherapy really does work, but it is specific to your own experience.
To your own frequencies?
Yeah, whatever. It's to your own experience. Lavender may be relaxing for some people, but if you were ritually abused by your grandmother who had lavender all in her house, it's not going to be a relaxing scent for you. So it has to do with your own experience. But, so I guess if somebody had that in their vagina and it reminded you of the Don Cesar, that would not be a bad thing. But anyway, go ahead.
Okay, so at first, she said the application felt cool and refreshing. 10 minutes later, she noticed how lubricated she was. Ooh. And in terms of sex drive, she felt stoked to get frisky about 30 minutes after application.
Really?
I've used other lubes before that made me just as wet, but none have made me this eager to get it on.
Let's get it on.
So applying THC topically doesn't result in the same feeling one might get from inhalation or food intake. So it's like her vulva and vagina didn't necessarily get high,
Yeah,
but
right.
everything was much more sensitive.
Huh.
So, anyway.
Okay, where can we buy this stuff?
Well, I've got the name brand. I didn't know if I needed to
I'm sorry.
say it or not.
Oh, she keeps stepping on. It's
Well,
okay.
who's stepping on who here?
I'm stepping on you.
So who? Do you want me to say the?
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
it's-
I think it's okay.
it's,
Since we're giving it a positive review, I think
Quim
it's okay.
Rocks Intimate Oil.
Okay.
And the word quim is 17th century slang for vagina.
Yes, right. Yeah.
So.
Yo, what up,
anyway.
Quim?
Anyway.
Okay, now can you buy this anywhere? Though, if it's got actually THC in it, I'm going to say
I mean, it
no.
says not in states where it's legal, so I guess you got to go to a website and get it.
Okay. Now they do have CBD versions. That's where Scott can get involved in this. I think that might be something for you, Scott.
Well, we know the tea tree is probably a stimulant.
Yes.
You would think. And the THC is certainly
But you, I mean, yeah, THC would be one thing, but I don't, in CBD is legal in all states, right?
Yep.
It does say here that, as somebody who's anxious and constantly in their head, this feeling helped her focus on her body and not her thoughts.
Well, you know what else is good for that, as well as oxytocin nasal spray. And that is obtainable without a prescription in most states that I'm aware of, and you could just go to a compounding pharmacy and just buy it. Oxytocin is the trust and love hormone.
Good. Yeah, feel good.
And if you're having problems with intimacy, then, that can make you feel closer to the person that you're with. But that's interesting. Okay.
But, they're talking about how it's part of good health and not just good sex.
Yeah. Now here they have, I'm looking at their website, they have one called Smooth Operator. Great name. Intimate serum, and it's CBD and latex safe. So it should be water-based lube to increase blood flow, promote pelvic relaxation, and decrease inflammation pain. Again, got to see, you're making claims that I would need to see the data on.
This says, keep in mind, since the intimate oil's made with coconut oil, you should avoid using latex condoms during sex, which I
Right, but these here are say that they're latex safe. And the THC infused one is available in California only. They have latex safe serum, and then they have an intimate oil that is not latex.
Yes, it does say later that Quim's Rock Intimate Oil is only available in California.
Correct. Damn California.
They got all.
Well, they got a lot of bullshit. At least they need to be able to have something.
That's true.
That's positive.
They got other challenges.
We'll give them that.
That's true.
But yeah, Dr. Scott, I think intimate oil might be on your radar.
Interesting.
So that concludes Tacie's
Well, those were
time.
good.
Outstanding,
Very
Tacie.
good. We have very little time left to take any questions,
Outstanding.
but let's do that anyway. Let's take some questions. First off,
Number one thing, don't take advice from some asshole on the radio.
Here we go. Uh-oh. Come on.
Hey, Dr. Steve, it's Mike from New York.
Hey, Mike.
I was just prescribed metformin, and it says take with food. What the hell is that supposed to mean? Don't take on an empty stomach? I'm a fat fuck with diabetes. That's why I am on metformin. I don't ever have an empty stomach.
Right. Well, good.
Thank you so much. Just venting.
Okay. The reason that you take metformin with food is to reduce your bowel side effects. That's it. And it's the first few weeks of treatment when you start taking metformin, which is a drug for diabetes. It's one of the essential drugs for diabetes, really, for type 2, that it reduces bowel side effects. People can have voluminous, diarrhea that can just come on and you're out in the middle of nowhere, or you're at the mall and all of a sudden it's an emergency. So taking it with meals should help reduce that. And the good news is, Mike says he never has an empty stomach, so it's no problem. He's complaining about something that doesn't apply to him. It's funny.
He might have an empty stomach when he takes that dose.
Yeah, that's true. He will afterward.
At least for a little while.
Yeah, that's funny though.
Yeah, stick with it though, because those side effects they generally go away.
Yeah. You've taken metformin for some time,
Long
right?
time.
Not because of diabetes though. So she has another syndrome of insulin insensitivity.
Gotcha.
All right, let's see here. I wish Chanda were here for this. Oh,
This is Steve from New York. I have two questions.
Okay.
You're going to make my wife really proud, but first one, I know you used to be an undertaker and fuck around with dead bodies and shit.
No,
but
I never was that. That was Chanda.
Serial killer, not a...
But I mean, I did dissect dead bodies in medical school.
Sure.
So.
With COVID, if somebody dies of COVID, right?
Right.
What kind of precautions does the undertaker have to take, like when messing with that body? Like, if the body is dead, let's say he's newly dead, can they catch COVID from a newly dead person?
That's a
And
really
secondly,
interesting question.
Years ago, I had a little tiny
Oh, that's a different question.
hiatal hernia,
Dang it, I can't.
but I want to know, how can I give myself a bigger hiatal hernia?
What?
And or an umbilical hernia, like
Why?
a big one. Don't worry about that question why I'm asking it, but
Don't worry about why.
You're asking for a friend.
Right. You can make a hiatal hernia bigger by belching, by ingesting air. I used to be able to do the whole alphabet by swallowing air, and then I would, blast it out in a long eructation, and I could say the whole alphabet, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I dig it. And I got to the point where I had opened up the area between my esophagus and my stomach to such a point that I started having really horrible reflux. And I have a hiatal hernia. So that would be one way. As far as the umbilical hernia, lifting heavy weights without an abdominal belt will do it, but don't do that.
Stick with it. Lift heavy enough.
What we're saying is these are things not to do to prevent those things. You do whatever you want to with that information. As far as the coroners, just think of how you get diseases, particularly COVID is a respiratory disease. So they would have to get live viral particles in a form that would get into their body in such a way that they would get infected. So if they stuck their finger in the lung or in the oral cavity right after the patient died and then stuck their finger in their nose, they might be able to get it. But those bodies aren't respiring, and the virus will die pretty quickly. It needs a living host. If you remember, they did studies where they were spraying COVID vaccine on dead things and seeing how long you could still detect it. And detectability isn't infectability. So, but there are some cells that are still alive in the body when you die. I mean,
and the mucus until it dries up, still would be viable.
Yeah. So I've never heard of a coroner getting COVID-19 from a dead body, but I did get COVID from somebody, and I was completely PPE'd up. I had an N95, a face mask, the blue dress, the devil with the blue dress, and head dress, gloves, everything, and got it anyway. So I guess it's possible. I looked this up to see if I'd ever heard of anybody getting it. If you want to look and see.
You don't think you got it in the changing room before you went in from one of your other providers?
No, because I remember coming out of that room and this person was yelling. They were so loud that I could feel the air going up under the mask. I could feel the wind on my face. And I came out of there saying if I didn't get it then, I'm never going to get it. And I was 4 days later I got it, so I'm quite sure that's what it was. So anyway, before we go, we've got a couple of questions, one or two questions from the Fluid family. And you can join the Fluid family at YouTube at youtube.com/@weirdmedicine. And I need to tone down the chat bot because poor old Teddy Two Guns, everything he puts in there, even if it's just hello, gets deleted. I don't know what the chat bot's doing. It just doesn't like him for some reason. And but if you do that and then click on either join is 99 cents, or you can buy memberships for other people. For like $5, you buy 5 memberships, and then people who are in the chat room get a free membership.
Cool.
And we're not demanding that. If we get enough members, we'll do a members-only event. I might put the video that I did the other day that's going up for the public, put it as members only. That might do something for a week or something like that, so they get a sneak peek. But anyway, you could do that, but click notifications, and then you'll get notified. Follow us on Twitter at Weird Medicine, and then I usually will put up a notification there as well. And then you can just hang out. It's just it's if we get 50 people watching a whole show, we're lucky, and then maybe 200 will watch it delayed. And we're not pushing the video side at all, except when I do maybe like a live stream or something like that. So it's cool. We're not a video show or a radio show. We get all of our listens through podcasting on Sirius and on Sirius XM. But anyway, so what the hell was I going to say?
I don't know.
Okay.
Who knows?
I'm an idiot. I had a specific thing that I was going to say about, yes. So this camera that I've got now installed is my close-up cam. Tacie gifted me this for the holidays, and it is an Ozbot AI 4K camera. It's really actually a very high-quality webcam. I've been using it for live streaming, and I put it in here because I was on WATP yesterday. I didn't want to be a million miles away like the regular camera is. And what I found on WATP, Carl gave me a show to review, and I clipped. Cardiff Electric helped me do some of the clipping, and I clipped up some stuff and had lines and had things to say about it, and I knew the show. And then they go into all the other stuff, and I'm sitting there during a Leslie Jones, Bill Maher segment that I didn't know anything about, and then a Stuttering John segment that I didn't know anything about. And I did have one good line in there, which I will leave for people to check out. It had to do with Vinnie Paulino. It was at his expense, unfortunately. But what I think what I need to do is, I'm not a funny person. Every once in a while I'll say something that's funny, but I'm not a funny person like these people are. And I can't really swim in that pool very well. So what I need to do is, but if I prepare, I'm okay. Do you prepare? Anyway, that's a joke. Okay. Well, Scott prepares.
Yes.
So if you, what I need to do is I need to do my segment and then get the hell out and not ruin the show, because I always feel like I ruin the show after that. Now, the one I did with Dick Masterson several months ago, I loved that. For some reason, that it just clicked. I was, Dick and I had good chemistry together, and it was the things that we were covering were just fun and silly, and I enjoyed that. But this was a little bit more heavy. There's some stuff going on in the Dabbleverse that's kind of unsavory, and I'd like to, support them behind the scenes, but not, I just can't. I can't do it. I'm not quick enough on my feet. So I'll leave that to Carl and Shuley and Bob Levy and those guys. But anyway, but it was fun. And check that out, WATP, the first third of it when we were talking about this show called The Bombing Run is mostly entertaining. It's just the second half where I dragged the show down. But anyway, in my opinion, Carl always says no, but I don't believe him. But I do enjoy hanging out with those guys. And I will be in Tampa March 22nd for WATP Live. Whether I get up on stage and do anything, I don't know. I will be at the VIP meet and greet. And if you come to that, I'll have tchotchkes. We have pins now, right, Tace?
I don't know. Oh, kind you like lapel pins?
Yeah, we have the
lapel
pins.
Everybody's going to want one of those.
Yes, they will. Stickers, all kinds of
stickers are
cooler
cool
stuff. I've got 2 different kinds of pins. I've got poker chips, all kinds of stuff. I got Tacie's 50th birthday poker chips. And it's a very hot picture of you, by the way. So I'll give the rest
several
of those
years
out.
old.
Yeah, that's all right.
Several years old.
So we have that. Okay. All right. That enough of that. What do you got, Dr. Scott?
Real quick question. We've got one from Brandon Robinson. He's talking about, he said he knows we've covered it before, but are there any procedures or things they can do for the floaters in his eyes?
Yes. There are.
Well, yeah, you can ignore it if it's
the first one is ignore it.
Yeah. If you've made sure you don't have any other eye diseases.
Right. You got to obviously get your eyes checked. I had a vitreous detachment, and it caused a thing called posterior uveitis, where it actually caused inflammation in my eye. So the vitreous is like clear jello. You think it's just fluid, but it's really clear jello. It's gelatinous. And when it separates, as we get older, it starts to shrink. And then at some point, the tension becomes critical, and it will actually separate from the retina itself, pulling a bunch of retinal cells with it. And then those will fill up the fluid between this now contracted jelly and the retina, causing floaters. And it's at the back of the eye, so that things that float to the bottom of the eye will appear in the top of your vision. Now, I saw a doctor. My vision, because of the uveitis, went from 20/20 to 2200 in the space of one day.
Yeah.
And I went to this guy who is my hero, ophthalmologist. He diagnosed it, sent me directly to a retinal specialist who is also my hero, who's stuck, and this is on our website. Or our YouTube channel, youtube.com/@weirdmedicine, there is a video of me getting a needle stuck in my eyeball for this. And they did it 4 different times, 2 in quick succession, but my eyesight went from 2200 back down to about 2030, 2040 within a day. Wow. And it's back to, I'm 20 years older than Tacie, and I can read things that she can't read, even with her readers on. So my vision is back to normal. But then it was like once a year for 2-3 years, right at springtime. Whenever the pollen or the allergens come out, it would kick back in again. And then one year it just didn't happen. It's never happened since, knock on wood. Yeah. But one of the things the reason I'm going through all this, not just because I'm a narcissist, like to talk because it's all about me, but because I did ask him, can I get rid of the floaters? And they said, yeah, you can, but we don't recommend it. What they can do is a vitrectomy.
Vitrectomy, right.
They will suck all the gel and the fluid out of your eyeball, and they will put sterile saline back in there. At least you hope it's sterile, because if there's one bacterium gets in there and the inside of your eye gets infected, you lose your eye. Yes. And that was the thing, is that even if that was a 1 in 1,000 chance or even 1 in 10,000, I wasn't willing to take it.
No, agreed.
If you hang in there with the floaters long enough, your brain will erase them from your vision. I don't notice them now unless I'm glad I'm not a pathologist, because if I look in a microscope, it's all I see is a multitude of floaters.
Yeah, me too. And they can also do some laser therapies
for floaters, though.
Yeah, there are a couple. Yeah, there are a couple little. Yeah.
Go see an ophthalmologist.
Yes, exactly.
Or a retinal specialist and ask them about that. I wasn't aware that they could do lasers on that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
One more little quickie.
Yep.
From Saxon. Needs a new primary care doc. Any tips on how to find a good one, or red flags?
Yeah, word of mouth.
Yeah, word of mouth, number one.
That's the best way.
Yeah.
You can go on Health Grades, and one day I'll tell you a story about Health Grades that's quite humorous. I might even do that as a live stream, because the big reveal at the end is quite funny. But you can go to Health Grades, but they're bullshit. If they get one bad review, and it's usually the bad reviews because you wouldn't give them Lortab when they wanted it or something, they go on or your staff was rude to them or whatever, then they will spam the review section so that it dilutes that out.
Yeah.
So if you get, let's say you have 5 reviews on them, one of them is bad. So you've got 20% bad reviews. They'll hire a company to go in and do like 200 reviews, and now you have one bad one. So it's
because you don't have to go see that. You don't have to.
No, anybody can put anything on there. And there's companies that's what they do, the reputation restorers or reputation builders, and you just pay them, and they've got rooms in some location on this planet, and with people that just sit there and put in positive reviews for people.
Yeah.
So
word of mouth is
word of mouth.
Number one way to do it.
Yeah, talk to your friends. Who do you go to? Who have you heard sucks? What happened? Well, I wouldn't send my dog to that. And well, that's, if you hear that twice, then that's usually pretty good that's correct.
Can you get in when you need to, when you call the office, how the office
and that's
treats you?
Got to have a solid office, front office.
That's a good triage is
huge.
when you call them. Are you comfortable with the procedure when you call in?
And you know as well as I do, the front office
can make you or break you.
And it's also pretty indicative of what the back office is going to be like.
Yeah.
Just like coaching, a coach's personality, the players tend to have, and vice versa. And it's the same thing in our offices.
Well,
you get somebody that's got a good office manager.
I will agree with that, but you get some providers who just don't pay any attention to what's going on up front.
Okay, yeah.
And then you will get front office people who think that their job is to quote unquote protect the provider from this, that, or the other. Maybe they get stressed out or whatever, and so now they're going to quote unquote protect them. And it's like in Jonathan Swift's and Gulliver's Tales. You remember they had to go to whatever land it was where you had to go through the flappers. Do you remember that?
No.
And the king.
Nobody read that book.
The king would sit there and you'd ask him a question, and then these flappers would take goat bladders, if I remember correctly, and beat them around the mouth, and then that would tell them that they needed to talk. And it was really what it was a satire about bureaucracy. But there's bureaucracy on the small scale in these offices too, where the front office people become the flappers for the provider. And a lot of times the provider doesn't know anything about it. And you go to your provider and say, well, your front office staff was bullshit. And they go, oh, God, I didn't know, because they really are just trying to practice medicine. We start getting told, well, just don't mess with that because you're an employed physician now. Almost everybody is. So we'll take care of the front. You just see patients and they don't pay attention to it.
Yep.
So, but they, you can't separate mind from body. You can't separate the front office from the provider. And so I agree with Scott. You got some responsibility to make sure people are talking the right way. My office is in such a position that when one of my nurses is talking to a patient, I can hear them. And particularly in the beginning when they were getting started, I would stick my head out after they hung up and sort of offer very gentle and constructive criticism on that might have gone better if you had said it this way instead of that way, that kind of stuff. And you should have a just say yes policy. Even when you're saying no, we can't do that, but this is what we can do. You're saying yes to something. All right?
Yep.
Anything else?
Nope, that's it.
All right.
Thank you, guys.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Always thanks go to Dr. Scott, Tacie. Thanks to everyone who's made this show happen over the years. Listen to our Sirius XM show on the Faction Talk channel. Sirius XM, channel 103, Saturdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern, on demand, and other times at Jim McClure's pleasure. Many thanks to our listeners whose voicemail and topic ideas make this job very easy. Go to our website at drsteve.com for schedules, podcasts, and other crap. Until next time, check your stupid nuts for lumps, quit smoking, get off your asses, get some exercise. We'll see you in 1 week for the next edition of Weird Medicine. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.